I work in a school in Donegal in Ireland, and I have worked in schools for years. And I've never once been on my way to work and thought to myself, I hope no one shoots all the kids today. Like, imagine having to send your children to school and you're thinking someone might come in and shoot them all. And the maddest thing about what's going on in America and Texas and stuff, it's happened so many times. Like, this has happened before. And they're still letting it happen. It's just so confusing for all of us people that aren't from America looking in and thinking, how fucking stupid are you people? Like, how are we going to stop all these shootings? Stop giving people guns. Do you know what I mean? It's just really awful, and it doesn't seem to happen anywhere else because other countries don't allow guns. So, I don't know.
That was a teacher in Ireland that talked about the recent mass shooting that happened. So if you don't know, or you've been living under a rock, but there was another mass shooting that happened in the United States. On May 24th, at Robb's Elementary School at Uvalde, Texas, hope I'm pronouncing that right, 19 children were murdered along with 2 adults by an 18-year-old gunman who opened fire going classroom to classroom. Due to this and many other events playing a factor into this, America has had the highest gun non-suicidal homicide rate in the developed world. I question, why is it that in America this happens to be a big problem, whereas many other countries, once they found out that there's a mass shooting, they started putting more restrictions on how you get a gun. Here's an example in Switzerland, where you can still get a gun in Switzerland, but you'd have to go through background checks.
Switzerland. You apply the permit from the police, you provide clearance of your criminal record that you don't have any convictions, wait for 2 weeks.
So to have a society which has guns and also has a strong enough gun control regulation is definitely possible. The saddest thing about this whole tragedy is that nothing will be done about this. The gun lobby in America is way too powerful and have a lot of influence in our political landscape. Texas Senator Ted Cruz has taken $360,000 from the gun lobbies in the United States as of 2016. And fun fact about Ted Cruz, he's actually been a pretty controversial figure in Twitter, and a lot of people are not showing him mercy. And to be honest, it's just beautiful to watch the amount of ratio he's been getting, and rightfully so, because he brought this on himself. The blood is on his hands, along with the hands of the policymakers that make it easier for people to get guns. And the very minute you push for any form of gun control, the gun lobbies and the policymakers that has their support will immediately scream tyranny and push propaganda to strawman or invalidate anything that you say. And to the common folks, the culture around why they need guns makes the dumbest excuses ever. Like, these are the 4 common excuses I hear. There may be more, but these are the 4 common ones that I hear. The first one that I hear is, we need guns to protect our homes from intruders. Okay, let's first of all think about this. Intruders are not going to come into an occupied home. Most intruders anyway. If your house gets robbed, most likely cases, they're not going to come into an occupied home. If they are, they most likely would have a gun on them. Now, assume that an intruder thinks that a house is empty. It happens from time to time. Chances are, once they find out, they're going to leave immediately. However, I can understand if, like, you're a farmer, you're not gonna find any help for like 40 miles away, because those people, they actually need a gun. But in most likely cases, they're not going to have assault weapons that kill a bunch of people in once. Most likely, they're gonna have more long-range rifles that can hunt, that can, shoot things at a far distance. The other excuse that I hear is, if there were good people with guns in places where these mass shootings happened, they would have stopped it. Well, first off, these mass shooting problems wouldn't occur if it was so easy for people to get guns in the first place. Secondly, let's think about this scenario here. If someone were to come into a public place where they said, I have a gun and I'm going to kill everyone, most likely the whole place is going to erupt in panic and everybody would be trying to get out of there as soon as possible. Bringing another gun into that situation is not going to do anything. You're just fighting fire with fire at that point. Then comes the whole, we need to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government. Putting aside the fact that we have this much of a trust issue against our government is something that we need to fix. This is a video I plan on talking about in a future video. video. But remember, the governments do make a lot of money from the gun lobbies in America. And yes, again, they are extremely powerful. In 2020, it's been estimated the NRA lobby has spent $3 million a year to buy influence in government. So really, government is the reason you have those guns in the first place. In fact, there has been fewer attempts of gun control as opposed to more gun rights. Now, suppose this were the case, the tyrannical government, and assuming that we have a well-armed and well-trained population that know how to use firearms, we're still not going to get that romanticized dream to revolt against the said government because the government will have a stronger force and a better trained individuals and still have the better equipment such as tanks, guns, and missiles. The final one that I hear is I need to protect myself against muggers. First off, most likely muggers are going to come after you if you go into an alleyway. Mostly they'll come at you at a time and place when there aren't too many people around and any form of security is far away from where you are. But at the end of the day, if you are getting mugged, there's a high possibility that the mugger is going to have a gun on him. And don't say you're going to be able to shoot him before he gets to you, because you're not that much of a trained gunslinger. Twitter, on the other hand, is a different story. There are politicians that are upset that there are people asking for gun control, despite the fact that it's logical for people to ask for something like this. But anyway, I'm going to show you some of these tweets to explain to you how ridiculous they are. Because it's pretty obvious that it's just damage control right now, and they're not even trying to hide it at this point.
If you are a mental health clinician, the community of Uvalde needs your help. Please contact my office to coordinate.
It's funny, considering these are the same group of people that get upset every time someone brings up any policy of universal health care or mental universal health care. To be clear, I would totally be down for mental universal health care, especially a part of a broader universal health care system. But it's a frustrating position to be in once the narrative flips, because then these quote-unquote supporters that supported this whole thing now all of a sudden are no longer supporters. Because here's a fun fact about this guy. Because almost a year from now, I would say around March of last year, he bragged about the fact that he voted no for gun control.
In 2018, Andrew Aluha pleaded guilty to weapon charges. He was released on bail just last week. He shot and killed a man on the New York subway. If Democrats really care about stopping violence, they would prosecute criminals, not let them go free.
Well, first off, Lauren, this has nothing to do with the topic of mass shooting. This was cash bail, which is a different issue entirely, and I agree, we should get rid of that. The fact that you could get out of jail even if you were the worst criminal ever because you have a lot of money is disgusting. Also, the reason that many people bring up gun control is because many other countries that have tried it has low non-suicidal gun-related deaths. Like, if this chart is not evidence enough for you that maybe there needs to be some regulation with guns, then I don't know what is. Of course, I'm not saying that these other countries are utopias, okay? The UK especially is not perfect, nor is Japan, nor is Netherlands, nor is any of the countries that are in the list. But unlike the US, on the other hand, they were able to fix their gun violence problem.
Our nation needs to take a serious look at the state of mental health today. Sometimes meds can be the problem.
Okay, first of all, stop saying that you care about people with mental health, because you don't. If you did, you would be supporting universal mental health care along with health care. Next, stop blaming everything on the medications that people usually take. The reason that these mentally unstable patients take these medications is to help them stabilize their mind. While I will agree that there are unnecessary medications with negative side effects, but to say that it's the only reason that these mass shootings happen is just dishonest.
America is failing our youngest generations from decades of rejecting good moral value and teachings. We don't need more gun control, we need to return to God.
So basically you're telling us, become a theocratic country and stop putting a barrier between state and religion, or there will be more mass shootings like this. And I don't think God would be happy about the fact that innocents are dying and you politicians that have the power to change this do nothing about it. All you do is find solutions that won't work. In China, 91% of the population claim to be an atheist, and they have less gun violence than the US. Now, of course, China is not a perfect country, but whatever they did definitely helped solve their gun violence issue. And the people that are foaming at their mouths right now because what I said offended a lot of people, understand this: we're not trying to take away your guns. We're trying to find solutions to prevent these tragedies from ever happening again. And the only way we can do that is by having some gun control laws. I'm not going to explain it here considering I'm stretching out the video to over 10 minutes. However, they'll be on the description below along with all my sources where I got my information from. But anyway guys, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. This is my first YouTube video and I'm planning to do more in the future. Hope you enjoyed my content and hope you will continue to enjoy my content, and I'll see you guys later.